Hi there, this is Dr. Anna Maria Helt, herbalist and microbiologist here with basmati.com. And the herb of the week this week is actually hollyhock. I've talked about other members of the mallow family and the mallow family as a whole in the past, but I wanted to focus in on hollyhock, mostly because I'm seeing it all over town right now. It's such a beautiful, beautiful tall flower that gets blooming kind of in midsummer, going in the late summer, and they're still going strong here in Durango. Hollyhocks are a very popular ornamental plant. They're pretty easy to grow. They have big, gigantic leaves that get a little smaller as the plant gets taller, and it can be quite tall. I see 5 feet tall hollyhocks around town pretty commonly. And the flowers are huge. They're a few inches across, and their color ranges anywhere from white to pink to a dark burgundy, which are my favorites, and oranges, yellows, pretty much any color you want within reason you can find hollyhocks in. So this is a mallow family member. It's in the Malvaceae family, and the botanical name for hollyhock is Alcea rosea. Alcea is the first part, the genus, rosea, Rosea. And so this, not only is it a beautiful plant to have around, and it will kind of spread on its own, it's also a very useful plant. And so for one, you can use the greens as a nutritive green, and so the leaves will go really well in green drinks and smoothies and such. And I don't like to strain the juices out of things. I actually do prefer to throw the whole plant part in a blender and do a smoothie with it. And so you can use those leaves as part of a smoothie blend. Start with mixing it with other greens and your usual smoothie ingredients just to get yourself used to the taste. I actually think they taste good, but they're a little different if you're not as used to eating wild greens. And then you can work your way up with how many of those leaves you're putting in. You can also use them as a pot herb as well. For cooking, you can use them in your salads as well. So very vitamin and mineral rich and hydrating greens. And so the leaves, you'll notice, have a texture to them. They're not as mucilaginous, there's a delicious word, as say aloe vera, but there is a bit of a mucilage to them, which is a kind of complex polysaccharide that is great for a number of things in the body, but it also can help contribute to the hydrating effects of mallow. And so that mucilage, since I'm talking about it, is also involved in stimulating our immune system function. So you can use hollyhock leaves and indeed the root itself if you need to do some root dividing with your hollyhocks. You can use the root as well for stimulating an immune response. So you can use the leaf or the root the same way that you would use echinacea, say at the very beginnings of a cold or a flu or just a respiratory infection that you're noticing. You can use them to bump up immune system function. Same thing if you have a yeast infection or something like that going on, or a UTI. I will often use an immune stimulating herb internally for that. And so again, if you don't have any echinacea on hand, reach for your hollyhock, and you can use it either as a tea, or if you happen to have it around as a liquid extract or a tincture, okay, but a tea is going to be the best way to use your mallow root and your mallow leaf. And the best kind of tea is what's known as a cold infusion. And you can look up my tea making article on basmati.com for more detailed instructions on tea making. But basically with a cold infusion, you're chopping up your plant part, you're throwing it in a jar, say a handful if it's fresh plant, filling it up with water, putting the lid on and letting it steep all night at room temperature. And then you can strain it and drink it the next day, keep it in the fridge for up to a few days, and you've got yourself a cold infusion. You do want to store it in the fridge after you're done steeping it if you're not going to drink it all right away, just in case there are any other little uninvited critters tagging along, since you're not using boiled water. But that's a great way to use it as an immune stimulant. Let's see, what else do I want to mention here? Also for urinary tract irritability and infections, this is a great tea, either the root or the leaf, again, of hollyhock. And even though it's an interesting plant, even though I love it for hydration, I love it for people having a hard time keeping their water down, they're vomiting it up, what have you. At the same time, it does have some mild diuretic effects in the kidneys. And it's not going to be enough as a standalone herb to clear a UTI, but it's certainly going to feel good, especially if you've got one of those hot, really burning UTIs. So you could use it alongside of a stronger, more antimicrobial formula for that UTI. Now, I don't want to stop before I talk about the flowers. And while you might be hard-pressed to pick those beautiful flowers off of your plant to do something with them, they are edible as well, and they're really pretty in things like salads, or as a garnish, or instead of one of those little toothpick umbrellas in your cocktail, you can put a hollyhock flower. And the flowers themselves are antioxidant and antibacterial and have a wide range of medicine itself. And so for me, I actually really love to use a mix of the flowers and the leaves, medicinally speaking, for GI tract irritation and support, for reflux, especially the leaves and the root. For the UTI, the flowers do have some antibacterial effects. Don't know that it's going to be enough to clear the infection, but it's still going to be soothing if you're using them together with the root and the leaf. And so hollyhock, it's more than just a beautiful addition to your yard or your sidewalk. It's great medicine and great food as well. So until next time, be well.